Hello and welcome back to a little bit unglamorous after dark. Today I have a vodka mule. It is almost 10 o'clock. Well, it's 9:30. By the time we are done filming this, it'll be well into the night. So cheers. And I can never have a drink without a fun straw. Those are just so good. I tried the Cutwater espresso martinis. Not as good. Don't look up the calories in those. It's not worth it. I actually, after trying those, I'm inspired to try and make my own espresso martini, but with actual espresso, not with the Baileys, none of that. It's gotta have real espresso. It's not the same without it, in my opinion. Also, can we have a moment for these nails that are press-on? They took 10 minutes to put on, and I feel so put together. It's No Makeup Monday. Speaking of no makeup, Sephora sale was it 2 weeks long? It just ended today. It's Monday today. And I bought nothing. Can I get a round of applause, please? I bought absolutely nothing from the Sephora sale, and trust me, there are things that I wanted. I spent hours researching items and adding things to my cart. I looked at the total. It was like $400, and I decided, you know what? I don't need anything because I already purchased quite a few things at Ulta when they had their spring sale, so I'm just gonna wait. I feel really proud of myself right now, but none of it I needed. One thing that I really, really want to get, though, that I saw Alex Earl wearing was this Patrick Ta Body Glow, and it looked phenomenal. $50 though, and I'm like, oh, do I really want to spend that? Not really, but I'm proud of myself. I started following this really adorable girl on TikTok, and she always does these outfits of the day, and she's so me-coded because she'll say, oh, I'm on a no spend, but these are my exceptions, this, and this. And the items are like so expensive. Like one of them was this Swarovski crystal Skims top, and it had little rhinestones all over the top. Something I would totally wear. I looked at the price. I think it was like $140 or something outrageous. And she's like, I'm on a no spend. Oh, but this just came back in stock, so it's coming in the mail. And I'm like, that's so me. I digress. But so this last weekend, as you know, was Coachella weekend. And every year I say the same thing. It's my hometown, and I've never been to Coachella. One year I'm going to change that. But for some reason, being in the polo grounds in the dirt in 100+ degree weather with tons of people who are wasted and dirt flying everywhere and everybody sweating, and it just sounds like not the best time to me. So every year I watch it. Well, not every year, but this year I watched it on YouTube. It was quite a few years ago that I discovered they actually live stream all of Coachella off of YouTube, and they have the best camera angles. I would much rather watch it, be able to see the performance in all of its glory, than be in the crowd. I'm very short. It's all standing room, probably in the back, not be able to see anything. So I had a good time watching that this weekend. I have notes from some of the performers. Honestly, I know people were saying this was the lowest ticket sales in years for Coachella, but I think people ended up being pleasantly surprised by the performances because everybody loved it. It looked like a lot of fun, and honestly, I even thought to myself, wow, there's so many performers I would have loved to actually see, and guest performers that people brought on. And I think that, I don't know, if I could pull myself to go to a 3-day concert, I just don't think I could. One, It is nice though because my parents still live there, so I could not be sleeping on the floor. I can actually go home and have a hot shower and a meal afterwards. So one year I'm determined to do it. Wasn't this year, so we'll see. Oh my gosh, before I forgot, I couldn't help myself. I saw Olivia Rodrigo in an interview with a purple Stanley Cup, and purple's my favorite color, and I went to Whole Foods this weekend. I was in the land of the rich. Don't ask me what I was doing there, but did you know they have a coffee bar? I had the most delicious coffee, and I was expecting to spend like $7 for it because Easter weekend I went to Better Buzz, spent $7 on, I kid you not, the worst coffee of my life. It was so disgusting, but I forced myself to drink it because I had spent $7 on it. What are we going to do? Toss it? I had the best coffee of my life this weekend at Whole Foods, and it was only $5.50. And I couldn't believe it. It's the, what is it called? It's the cookie butter latte, and I got mine with oat milk. $5.50 out the door. It was the best latte of my life, and it was so good. I actually looked up the ingredients for it. Apparently, it was released last year, and people loved it because it was affordable and freaking delicious. And some girl that worked at the Whole Foods coffee counter actually gave away the recipe and shared the exact ingredients and the exact, what is it called? The pumps of syrup and the brand and all that stuff. So I researched it. I bought it all. I'm going to recreate it with my Nespresso, and I hope it's just as good. Whole Foods is not really that close to me, but I want to drive back just to go get one of those coffees. But anyway, I went to use the restroom, walked out. I saw an end cap with Hydro Flasks and a couple of Stanleys, and this beautiful, beautiful child was sitting there begging me to buy it. It was the last one I picked. I don't know what came a hold of me. I walked straight up to the end cap, picked it up, and then just walked straight to the checkout and walked out with it. So I have a collection now. Okay, before we get into Coachella, we got to talk about my queen, Taylor Swift. You already know the drill. Her album comes out on Friday, so when you're listening to this in 2 days, I cannot believe it. I feel like it was just yesterday. She announced, what was it, the Oscars, the Grammys, I always forget which. She announced that she was going to be dropping it, and what was that, like 2 months ago? And that has flown by. I cannot believe it. I am so freaking excited, and I feel like she's going to drop merch, but part of me doesn't want her to because I don't want to spend money on the merch. I don't have money for the merch. Taylor, what are you doing to me? Also, I would like to issue a retraction because I know a few episodes back, people were talking about behavior they thought was questionable from her when my girl, she's just having a good time at the Grammys and, you know, having some drinks, having a good time, getting a little tipsy, and I respect that, you know what I mean? But I read this article, and it's not a new article by any means, but I saw this story that this girl shared, and I feel like this was back in 2018 when she shared the story, so it actually happened quite a few years prior. Basically, the story is it's a young fan that was pregnant and became homeless, and I don't know, don't ask me what she was doing at a Taylor Swift concert, but you know, shit happens, right? Maybe she already had the tickets, etc. She's at the concert, and I don't know if she had like met Taylor prior or she had like a fan account or something. Taylor really interacts with her fan accounts quite a bit, so she knew of her, and her mom reached out to Taylor and said, hey, she's going through a hard time, can you just make her feel really special at your show? I feel like this was the 1989 concert because I saw the outfit, and she was in her short bob era with the little flapper outfit, and at the concert, I guess she got to meet her, and, you know, she said something like, oh, you've always been such a great fan to me. You know, you shouldn't have to worry about all of this. I want to refund you the cost of your ticket, which is so kind. And then later, it turns out Taylor bought her a house. straight up bought her a house. Taylor's always been known to do very kind and thoughtful things. Like, she used to buy Christmas presents for her fans, hand wrap them and write them little notes, hand deliver them. And she would give fans away things from her own wardrobe sometimes. How can a woman that bakes cookies for people and brings cookies to like radio interviews be bad, you know? Okay, so we stand Taylor always. I'm sorry I ever questioned you, my queen. But anyway, her album comes out on Friday, and I am beyond excited. I can't really decide what kind of vibe it's going to be. At first I thought, oh, it's definitely going to be a sad album. But I feel like it's going to be, like, the lyrics are going to be a dagger, but it's going to be bops, you know? Anyway, I just know my girl is going to be dropping some merch, and I am not going to have the same kind of self-control I had at the Sephora sale, so maybe it's a good thing that I did before. So, moving on to Coachella, so there were rumors that Taylor and Travis were going to be spotted there. I was, for one, on Taylor watch to see if she would do a guest spot in somebody's stage set, but that didn't happen. I think she just wanted to break from tour, wanted to enjoy it, but I didn't see her on night one. I thought for sure she would show up for Lana Del Ray's show, but I didn't see her. Night two, she was there for Bleachers and Ice Spice, and she was actually in the crowd dancing in like the mob, which I really couldn't believe. I mean, she probably had her bodyguards all around her, but it didn't appear that people were going up to her and bothering her. And something so random I thought was really funny. I follow a YouTuber, and her name is Amber Scholl. If you're not familiar with YouTube, if you are familiar with like the beauty community, you probably know her. And she was randomly at, well, not randomly, but she was at Coachella as well, right in the front. And I was watching her Instagram story, and she was like panning, and she's like, oh my God, Taylor Swift is literally partying right next to me at Coachella. And I thought that was so funny because I would actually die if that happened. I don't know what I would do. I just feel like I would have to seize my moment and say hi to her, you know? Like, that might be my only shot that I get. The problem with not wearing any makeup is you're shiny. So I feel like with the lights, it comes off so chaotic. So I always have to apply powder before I film. So I watched Coachella live on YouTube, and it's nice because you can change between all of the channels with the stage performances, and I took note of some of the performers I was excited to see. I watched pretty intently on Friday, a little bit on Saturday, dropped off on Sunday. I kind of got a little Coachella'd out, so that makes me worried if I were to actually go and show up and put an effort into being there, I get tired. So the first performance that I was really excited to see was Sabrina Carpenter. She took the stage at 6 o'clock on Friday, and I was very impressed by her set. I just want to say her stage presence, she put on a really good show, and I just think it's really crazy how far that she's come, because she's opening for Taylor on tour. Before that, I know she toured, but she wasn't really a huge household name. She was a Disney girl, and now she's just like a full-on pop princess. I saw this quote the other day, and I just feel like it hit the nail on the head. It said, Sabrina Carpenter pop stars the way that pop stars haven't pop starred in years. And I feel like that's so true. Like, her cute outfits, her little platform go-go boots that she wears every single show. You know, those things are probably not comfortable at all. In fact, I think I actually saw somebody comment saying, I own those exact pair of boots, and I know they're very uncomfortable. So the dedication that she has to be dancing, running around on stage, wearing them for hours at a time every single night is dedication. And her set actually had some stairs, and I feel like my irrational fear would definitely be tripping and falling in those boots. She was running in them. These things are like platforms, huge, like almost like pleasers. And they're not high heels, they're boots, but kind of like the Daphne go-go boots, right? Scooby-Doo, Daphne, her big chunky white boots. And she was going up and down the stairs. She wasn't hanging onto the rail at some point, and I was so nervous, but she's a pro. and she just released a new single right before Coachella. It's called Espresso, and I feel like it's going to be the summer hit. I laughed really hard because at one point in her set, she changed into this big t-shirt, and on it said Jesus was a carpenter. And if you don't know, she was in that scandal previously a little bit ago for her music video that came out, and she filmed her music video in a Catholic church, and I guess the Catholic church was mad because it was very Madonna-esque, very scandalous. And of course, everybody wanted to ask her about it in interviews, and one interview when she was asked about it, she just said, Jesus was a carpenter, and I thought that was just really funny. I think she has this quick sense of humor, and I love her. I'm a Sabrina Carpenter fan. I was looking at some of her merch. In fact, she came out with that shirt that she wore. I would totally buy it. I love her new album. I just think she is so pretty, so talented, and, she's my new Gen Z queen. I just love her. Shakira made a guest performance during Bizrap's set. I'm not familiar with Bizrap other than I know Shakira released a single with them. I think they're like a Latinx band. I actually do not know at all, but she released like a mixtape or a song with them not too long ago, and I don't follow because all of the lyrics are typically in Spanish, but I remember people were going crazy over this one song that was very recently released. It was not on an album. It was not a single. It was just a mixtape that was released, and it went number one. And apparently, if you translate the lyrics, it basically spilled all the tea on Shakira and Piqué's relationship going south. The lyricism is brilliant, and unfortunately, because I don't speak Spanish, I can't fully get all of the entendres that she uses. I went down a YouTube rabbit hole and I watched this girl who explained all of it, and it was just mind-blowing. I went down a YouTube rabbit hole of some girl explaining it all, and I just thought her lyricism was brilliant, and she announced that she's going to be going on a world tour, and I'm just so happy to see it. Shakira needs to step back into the limelight. She is Shakira, and I just can't believe that she let some man make her feel like that she is not the queen of the universe, because she is Shakira. Megan Fox was also at Coachella, and I know people were dying to have her comment on the Love is Blind drama, the Chelsea drama, where she said she looked like Megan Fox. And so it finally happened. She was at Coachella. By the way, I must say, I love her pink hair era. I think she pulls it off amazing. I don't know what people are talking about. They're saying Megan Fox doesn't look like Megan Fox. She looks freaking gorgeous. She looked gorgeous back then. She looks gorgeous now. Any hair color. She looks amazing. So I don't know what the hell people are talking about, but I just feel like I feel bad for her because she is so like next league gorgeous, and people love to bring people down like that, people that they think know how good looking they are. And I feel like people unjustly dragged her on purpose because they wanted to kind of like bring her down to their level, so to speak. Like, in a way, people want to make themselves feel better by doing that. And she was in an interview, well, actually, it was this interview that I'm about to talk about, but basically the reporter asked her, well, not really a reporter, but the interviewer said, have you heard about the Love is Blind whole drama and all of that? And she said yes. And the reporter said, do you watch Love is Blind? She said no, but I've obviously seen the clip. I've seen a picture of the girl. And she just gave the most classy, respectful response. And I will say this, I feel like Megan Fox holds herself very well in interviews. I feel like she speaks very well. I just feel like she is such a deep intellectual person. Like, she just released this poetry book, and she just really holds her own in interviews, and she always has the nicest things to say about people. I feel like she doesn't fall for the whole bait that reporters try to get her to say stuff, which clearly was kind of happening in this interview, because of course they want to get a good soundbite of somebody reacting negatively or just, but anyway, so she basically said, I've seen the photos and she said 100%, I think she's telling the truth. Definitely people in her life have told her that she has looked like Megan Fox. She has the deep blue eyes, so I definitely believe she's telling the truth. And she said, she followed up by saying, I hope this experience didn't dim her light because, people are really harsh. And she basically followed up by saying, my light was dimmed a very long time ago because of how mean and how people bullied me. And people did bully her. I feel like when Transformers came out, like that movie blew up, she was quickly catapulted into like stardom. She was the sex symbol. Everybody loved her. She's gorgeous. And that came with a lot of bullying because, like I said, I feel like when people see someone that seemingly has it all, money, beauty, they immediately want to tear that down and make that person a little less because it makes them feel better. And I feel like that very much happened to Megan Fox. And it's just like the 2000s were such a crazy time because I feel like in that era, what was it, like 2007 when that first Transformers movie came out, something like that. It was just such a different time, and I remember when she was labeled as difficult to work with on the Transformers set by a director. Well, fast forward now, what are we hearing about all of these directors? The Harvey Weinstein of it all, the, quiet on set of it all. It's like, the reality of it was she was just dealing with some crazy stuff behind the scenes, and, people will use that against you if you don't do exactly whatever they want. They'll say, well, I'll make sure that you never get another job in this industry again if you don't do exactly what I say, if you don't do A, B, and C. I just think at the end of the day, sometimes jealousy really takes over, and you see the ugly parts of people when they see something that you have that they want. And she spoke very well on the matter because, she didn't want to drag this poor girl that's clearly already been through the mud by America just because she said, somebody has told me I look like Megan Fox, and it's all good and fun in the reality TV realm, but these people are still people, and I do feel like that's really shitty. I do feel really, really badly for her at the end of the day. So people were really excited to see Lana Del Ray, and I must admit, I have always heard of the lore of Anna Nicole Smith. Lana Del Ray. I've heard her songs, obviously. I've heard some of her more popular songs. And, she did that collab with Taylor Swift on her last album. But other than that, I never really purchased her album or followed her too closely. I feel like people love her because they think that she's very real. She creates very melancholy, sad music. Not really music you dance to, but music that you can just appreciate the lyrics and the melody. And she has such a unique, interesting voice. So she headlined Coachella on Friday night, and she took the stage at 9:30 p.m., something like that. She rode in on these little motorbikes, like she was hanging on to somebody driving her motorcycle, and all the dancers are following her. And I thought her set went interesting. I feel like there were some sort of technical issues the whole time, something wrong with her microphone. She was so quiet. I feel like her microphone was the lowest out of everybody else's microphone. And at one point, I feel like her backup singers were out singing her because they were so much louder than her. And you could tell that she was kind of, a few times she asked the sound person, hey, can you give me a little more, turn up a little more, actually in the microphone, speaking to the guy. And it didn't really feel like that the microphone issue got fixed until the very end of the show. And I really felt bad for her. I feel like she kind of was nervous, and I feel like that she's come out in interviews previously stating that she does have a lot of social anxiety and stage fright. I think she's more of an introvert, and I just think it's such an interesting career for somebody to have that, I don't want to say doesn't love performing, but gets paralyzed by fear. But I was like sleuthing the internet because I wanted to know what people thought of her performance, and nobody really brought up that point at all. I just saw rave reviews from everybody. Everybody was loving Lana. Not even a lot of people mentioned the tech issues that I felt were happening in the background. People just were really excited to see her. They loved her performance. They just love her in general. And I know recently, I don't know if it was to promote her new album or what, but she worked at Waffle House for a few days and was actually a server there. I don't know if it was in like promotion for something, but I just feel like people love stuff like that, and they feel like, oh, Lana's so real. She doesn't care at all. She's just one of us. She's not really flashy. She's just a small town girl. And I think she's also coming out with a country album now that I think about it. And it's being produced by Jack Antonoff, who also performed at Coachella with his band Bleachers. So I know Taylor wanted to see him and Ice Spice. I was really surprised that I didn't see her during the Lana set on Friday, but Bleachers performed on Saturday, and so did Ice Spice. And I will say, Ice Spice, she can rap. I really didn't understand the whole I didn't understand her before. I mean, I know she had that feature on Taylor's single. She had a very short verse in it, and she looked good. First of all, her outfit looked amazing at Coachella. She can rap, and she even played the brief verse that she rapped in for Taylor's Karma, and before it started playing, she said, shout out to Taylor Swift, or Taylor motherfucking Swift, and Taylor was in the concert, she was in the crowd dancing with Travis right there while that was happening, and yeah, she is a really good performer. She looked amazing with long hair. She looked phenomenal. Looping back to Lana Del Ray, at one point, was there a hologram of her with Jack Antonoff on the piano? I thought that was kind of odd, and it kind of reminds me of, I feel like it was also at Coachella when they brought out the hologram of Tupac. Like, what are the repercussions of that I guess obviously they have to get permission because he's deceased, so permission from his estate, from his family members, but I thought it was very interesting. One thing I also noticed, and what also made me feel like Lana was very nervous, is she kept putting her microphone out to the audience, sing for me. And I don't know if it was because she was having mic issues, or she seemed a little shaky while she was singing, so I don't know if she was very nervous and she just needed a minute. But personally, I hate it when artists do that. I know this is a different situation if she was nervous, but artists that will put the microphone out for the crowd to sing an entire verse or their main song. It's I didn't come here to hear the person next to me screeching the lyrics. I came here to hear the artist sing the song. But regardless, she did a great job. I definitely want to check out some of her songs a little more in-depthly, especially because you couldn't really hear her that well, and I felt really bad for her. But yeah, people love her. People ate it up. People had nothing but rave reviews about her performance. Another band that I remember from way back in the day, and even my dad wanted to tune in and watch, was Sublime, and they took the stage very early on Friday. Was it Friday or Saturday? I can't remember now. But so Sublime actually had, their major hits like Santeria, and they had tons of hits in the 90s, and their front runner died of a drug overdose right, I think, at the height of their fame, right before their album came out that just really catapulted them, and they kind of had to disband after that because their front man passed away. And I think at one point they tried to regroup the band in 2009, and they had a different front man singing, but apparently they couldn't use the name Sublime because the rights to that name were owned by the estate of his name is Bradley Nowell, his estate owned the rights to that name, so they couldn't use it. So I guess that they had this other guy and they renamed the band Sublime with Rome, because the guy's name was Rome, and they, I guess, did a few albums. And anyway, so this is the first time that they came back together, obviously not with the frontman that passed away, but with his son. And I thought that was so cool. I was immediately drawn in. The son is now 28 years old. He's very, very talented, and he decided to bring the band back together with the other original members who apparently he grew up with. They're like uncles to him, and they covered all of the old songs that were popular from the original ideation of the band. And I just think that is such a immediately I was drawn in just by that story, just by that scenario. I just thought it was so cool. Also, if you think about it, it's really smart marketing because, well, it's really smart in general just because the new frontman's 28, so he's going to get all of the young, new viewers to come and maybe be interested in the music. And then you have the older generation that remembers the original songs are hearing the covers being done again, but in a maybe even a better way by his son. And so I feel like they really have a good opportunity for getting a whole new fan base and reviving their old fan base. And I actually really enjoyed their set a lot. I felt like his name is Jacob, has amazing stage presence. I think he was in other bands previously. And so that was a really cool thing to see, and I really enjoyed the story behind it. So he also mentioned, I think he said during a set, like, we're going to drive this thing until the wheels fall off. It's a family business. So Sublime is reuniting for 2024. It was the first time in many, many, many years at Coachella, and they're going to, I guess, keep going, hopefully make some new albums. And I thought that was a highlight of Coachella for sure. And next I want to touch on Grimes. I first heard of Grimes when she was dating Elon Musk, and apparently she's a musician. She does DJ sets and she also sings, and so she was at Coachella as well, and I guess there was some debate whether or not she would be performing or doing a DJ set because it wasn't really stated what she was going to do. And I guess I forgot that there are DJ sets at Coachella. Because hers ended up being a DJ set. And she was having some really intense technical issues. I felt really bad for her. I guess the timing was all messed up on her songs. And she didn't really handle it in the best way. And I kind of started tuning out. So I don't really know if she recovered or not. But apparently she blamed it on technical issues, and I guess she had outsourced some people to help her with the timing on some of her song details, and it all started to go awry. So I think she felt really bad about it, and she was audibly disgruntled when things were going wrong during her set, and it was just so uncomfortable. I felt so bad for her, but I guess that's the way it goes sometimes. It's not always going to go right, and it's really embarrassing when you're the one on stage and thousands of people are watching this, and in the moment you're trying to figure it out. So I really felt for her. I felt really bad for her. I tuned in to Bleachers for a little bit just because I was part of me was hoping Taylor Swift would take the stage at some point during the weekend, just to announce something, maybe sing a song that she had a feature with somebody else, but it didn't happen. The moment that really, really stole the weekend for me was No Doubt reuniting for the first time in 9 years. And the original band with Gwen Stefani reunited, and they sang all of their hits. They were amazing. When Gwen was singing Just a Girl, I think she was completely copying a concert that she did in the 90s of that song, and she was having the art. I just said that I hated this. I hated when artists ask the audience to sing, but she was saying, I want you guys to say, I'm just a girl. And people were having an amazing time, and she brought up Olivia Rodrigo on stage with her, and it was a phenomenal performance. And can I say, she looks freaking phenomenal. I cannot believe she's in her 50s. If I look half as good as her in my 50s, and also I want to dress like her in my 50s. I want to wear like the cute outfits and the freaking fishnets and the red lip and just go for it, and she pulls it off. I mean, it just takes money, right? Side note, a little bit of a tangent, but I was fangirling just a little bit on Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodrigo after Coachella. I mean, I've always really liked them, but I feel like after Coachella, I'm like, okay, I'm a stan now. I'll buy some merch. And I was on Olivia Rodrigo's I'm like very tongue-tied right now. I was on Olivia Rodrigo's website looking at some of her merch, and I kid you not, I saw that she had an Italian charm bracelet. Who remember those? My 90s girls, my 2000s girls, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like I have mine, right? Like, I feel like I have mine right here. I do have mine right here. It looks like this. And you put it on your wrist, and it rips out all the hairs. And yeah, so I think Gen Z is reviving the Italian charm bracelet. This is an OG one that came directly from the mall. And back in the day, one of these little fuckers was like $20 because it claimed to be real gold. And I was on Etsy this weekend seeing these little things, like individual things being sold for like $2. So I might bust out my Italian charm bracelet. Anyway, I thought it was really funny when Gwen Stefani had all the boys at Coachella sing "I'm Just a Girl." And I know, one of the reasons why she loves that song and wrote that song is she just loves the phrase, like, I'm just a girl, like, oh, silly me, I can't do anything, I'm just a girl. And that was kind of like a play on words, and it was just, the whole performance was iconic. And now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of very well-known artists in the 2000s that were performing, like No Doubt, brought up like an equivalent Gen Z artist that is new and up and coming and very popular. Like No Doubt brought up Olivia Rodrigo, Renee Rapp brought up Kesha, who else? Lana Del Ray brought up Billie Eilish. I forgot to mention that. She sang Ocean Eyes with Billie Eilish, which that is one of my favorite songs of hers. I think that was like her breakout song. But Billie Eilish also has this really beautiful, soft voice, kind of like Lana Del Ray does. And it's really cool to see artists that really embrace the uniqueness of their voice, and they don't try to out-sing the person next to them, because you don't always have to have the strongest voice, the loudest voice. You don't have to be the Mariah Carey to have a beautiful voice. And that's why I think that's why people really love Billie Eilish and Lana Del Ray. So those are my notes on Coachella. The same thing is going to be happening next weekend. An artist that I really wanted to see that I missed was Doja Cat. I was just Coachella'd out, but my mom watched her and she was actually really impressed by Doja Cat, which I was actually a little surprised by, because I know Doja Cat is a little out there. She's a little wild. I saw pictures of her. She had this like fur bikini on, and she's a good performer. I'll give her that. Like, she's a little bit of a loose cannon though when it comes to interviews and being online, and she's gotten in trouble with her fans a few times. Like people on the internet will kind of poke her a little bit and she'll respond, and she'll get backlash from her fans for some of the outrageous things that she'll say. I think she's even said that she's wanted to quit music a few times because she hates it. But then she comes out and does like an iconic performance like this. So maybe I'll watch it next weekend because it's the same performers, right? Yeah, I think so. So I do have a few other things that are notable that happened this week. Let's see. I talked about JoJo Siwa last week, so we'll just skip over that. O.J. Simpson's dead. He was 76, and I feel like this is a long time coming. I feel like, damn, he was pretty young, first of all. I mean, I could go on a deep dive on all of that, but I'm just going to note the response that Caitlyn Jenner had, because I guess she tweeted out good riddance. And as you know, or may not know, Robert Kardashian was OJ's lawyer back in the 90s when he was on trial for murder. And ultimately, one of the reasons why he was acquitted. And so Robert Kardashian was the father of Kim Kardashian and that whole family. So obviously this is a big, well, at least a big pop culture thing. People were wondering, oh, you know, do they still believe in his innocence? Are they going to speak on it, say anything? I don't think anybody has really said anything. Actually, I think Kim Kardashian was interviewed by, I forget who. She was interviewed like fairly recently, maybe a few years ago, and asked about it and asked if she still spoke with him, and she said no. It's like one of those things that's like not really talked about. And I think her mom was best friends with Nicole Brown Simpson, who was murdered by him, and Ron Goldman, who was the other person that was murdered, that I feel very badly for, because nobody talks about he got murdered too, you know. And I was talking to my mom, like, damn, I would hate to be, if I ever died, I would hate to die with somebody that's famous, because it'll be like, oh, so-and-so celebrity passed away, R.I.P., and like, oh, and this other person. It's just really sad that he got overshadowed like that, and his family never got any kind of retributions. I know that OJ was found guilty in civil court like 2 years after he was acquitted, and apparently he hasn't paid a dime. I think he had put all of his assets in a trust and didn't pay anything out. So, you know, maybe he died so young because of karma, you know. But anyway, that was interesting. It's a very interesting moment in history for sure. And it's just unbelievable that it's really, truly unbelievable, that whole story. It's like I said, it's a rabbit hole. I'm not going to get into it, but it is a very significant thing that happened this week. So I just had to comment on that. And ending on a slightly lighter note, we're going to talk about Hilary Duff's new cat that's being bullied on the internet. So Hilary Duff is married to a producer, musician named Matthew Coma, and I follow both of them online, and they just adopted this adorable kitten. And Matthew basically like live Instagrammed the entire time going to pick up this cat. I'm sure this cat was very expensive. He flew all the way to another state to pick up this kitten, and then flew back with the kitten to give it to their young daughter. And I'm not really sure what breed it is, but I think the type of breed, the fur kind of looks like lamb wool. And anyway, I'll put some pictures up because it's the most hilarious thing I've seen all day. But people are bullying this cat, saying it's ugly, and in true Matthew Coma fashion, he is replying to everybody and posting it on his Instagram, and it's just the funniest thing I've seen all day. And on that note, that's all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Are you going to Coachella? Are you watching Coachella on the internet? I know I will be. I'll probably watch Weekend 2 on the TV. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.